What is going on, my people, and welcome back to another episode of Modern Leadership Coaching. Yes, we are relaunching the podcast, and today we have an extremely powerful episode for you. So I'm curious, what would it feel like being in a room of 9 super successful, powerful coaches while they shared the keys to their success? Some of the secrets that allowed them to actually rise to the level that they're at right now so that you wouldn't have to waste any years off of your life, but also time and energy trying to become that level of coach. So if that's the case, today is your episode. So let's get right into it. Now, the first person we have here is Chris Downing. You may know him. He's a celebrity super trainer. He's also a motivational speaker and a powerful coach that not only will have you work on the outside, but have you working on the inside. Let's dive into his tips.
Chris Downing, motivational coach, motivational speaker, and celebrity fitness trainer. I got to ask the good question. What's one thing you wish you knew when you started coaching that would have saved you years of frustration? Oh, that's a good question. I would have to say, I wish I would have known my value much earlier. I think it was one of those situations where when I first started with body, I just wanted to fit in. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to come and stand out. I just wanted to fit in and be an assistance to everybody and complement what everybody else was doing, not realizing that I was different and it was okay to be different. And so oftentimes, when you're in that space and you become frustrated when you have a talent and a gift on the inside of you that craves and has the passion to love, empower, inspire, and bring out the best in other people, and you hold it back. And so once I realized that, I'm here for a reason, and there's hundreds of thousands of people who I can meet right where they're at in their fitness level and use motivation and inspiration and love and empowerment to bring out the best in them. So once I realized that and I gave myself permission to be me, that's when the frustration stopped. And another good question here is, what would I have done to fast track my results? I don't know if I would have fast tracked my results. I actually really love the journey of everything that I've been doing. I've been very grateful and appreciative to meet some of the most incredible people, including Mark. And I just love people. I love bringing out the best in people. I love creating programs for all fitness levels because I believe that everybody should be empowered. Everybody should be inspired. Everybody should be encouraged to become the greatest version of themselves. So that's all I got for you. And I do want to say thank you so much to each and every person who's ever done a program of mine, because without you, I wouldn't be the trainer I am today. See you soon.
What do you think about that? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that you don't really think about, well, I just got to be myself. But it's like easier said than done. Sometimes when you're first starting out or when you're trying to get into something that maybe you're not familiar with, so you're trying to be somebody else because you want to fit in. Like we all want to fit in. And it's simple, but it's still a really great advice.
100%. So some of the things that I wrote down was being yourself, give yourself permission to just be you, right? Mm-hmm. Because like everything that you have been able to do in the past has gotten you to where you are by being you. Mm-hmm. And if you get put into this new situation and you're somebody else entirely different, it really takes away that special part, because that special part is you.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right. Coach number 2 is Cynthia VanWarmer. Now, if you know Cynthia, she's a master at helping people through the process of actually calling processing pain. Being able to really pull out and ask those deep questions to help people realize things that they didn't even know existed. So let's get into her tips now.
Hi, I'm Cynthia VanWarmer, certified life and performance coach, mentor, and founder of Purposeful Living Coaching. I help individuals move through life's toughest seasons and step into more clarity, confidence, and purpose without sacrificing who they are along the way. This question was asked: what's one thing you wish you knew when you started coaching that would have saved you years of frustration or fast-tracked your results? If I could go back and whisper one truth to myself when I started coaching, it would be this: confidence isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you build by choosing to show up before you feel ready. For years, I believed I had to earn the right to speak up, that I needed more certifications, more experience, more clarity before I could fully step into this role. And that belief cost me time, opportunities, and honestly, a lot of sleepless nights. But here's the truth I know now. You don't become confident and then take action. You take action, and that's what grows your confidence. When I finally said yes to becoming a certified life and performance coach, it wasn't because everything was perfect or figured out. It was because I realized people weren't waiting for me to be flawless. They were waiting for me to be real, to share my story, to speak with compassion, to help them see what was possible, because I had walked through the hard stuff too. And that's the gift. Your story, your real, imperfect journey is what qualifies you. That's what builds trust. That's what fast tracks transformation in you and in your clients. So if you're just starting out or doubting if you're enough yet, please hear me. You are. Show up, speak up, and don't wait for confidence to arrive. Create it. That one shift, it changed everything for me. And I promise it will for you too.
So we've had the honor of knowing Cynthia for many years now, and it's amazing to see how much she's grown. Like from when we first met her, and I feel like confidence is like already in us, and it's just something that just needs to be revealed through what she said, right? By, going out there and doing things. So to see her kind of living that is really cool.
It is. I think it's very much in alignment with what Chris was talking about too, right? It's like, just be yourself, be real, because there are so many things you've been able to overcome, right? So many mountains you've been able to climb, so many things you've been able to process and get through on the other end, right? And when you remind yourself of who you are and what you bring into every conversation, it just changes the game. It changes up the coaching session and just really changes everything forever. All right, so let's get into number 3, which is Hilary Hartling, Miss Disney. So Hilary is really a master at branding and messaging, and she worked for Disney for quite some time. She is also one of the most kindest and humblest humans on the planet. She is somebody that we work very closely with, and she's helped given us a lot of clarity, especially when we felt quote unquote stuck. So let's get right into her message today.
I would say the one thing I wish I knew when I started my brand strategy coaching, and this would have saved me years of frustration for sure, is this, that it is so much harder to get clarity for yourself than it is for anyone else. So before I launched my own brand strategy business, I spent over 15 years marketing some of the most recognizable entertainment brands in the world. It was Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and a couple more. But honestly, I actually think that was easier. It was easier to market a billion-dollar film franchise than it was to market myself. And this is why. What's that saying? It's when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label, which means when you're so close to your own work, or when it's so personal to you, when it is you, when it's your personal brand so closely linked to your business, it is very hard to clearly articulate your mission, your message, and really that unique magic that only you can bring. And so that's exactly why my clients come to me now, because they've realized they can't see it clearly for themselves either. And the truth is, I don't think you're supposed to. It's why having an outside perspective, someone like me who can reflect back your brilliance, help you own that unique perspective that you bring to the table, and turn all of that into a clear brand and messaging strategy, that will save you years of spinning your wheels. So I would say this, once you have that clarity, once you can confidently talk about who you are, what you do, and why it matters, everything changes then. You really then have the clarity to start attracting the right people, and you stop second guessing yourself because you're clear and your brand feels most like you. So if I could go back in time, I would probably tell myself, don't try to figure it out all alone. And by the way, this goes for every area of your business, I would say. It's like the things you need help in, go and seek the help that you need, get support, but most of all, get clarity. Because I think clarity is the fast track to growth. Clarity is really the foundation for a brand and a business that you are excited about and that you can't wait to shout from the rooftops because you are so clear and your mission is set. So that's what I would say. I hope that helps you in some way.
She has so much wisdom, which is why we're always, reaching out to her and asking for some support. But it's so easy for us to even see potential in other people than it is to see our own potential. And she's right. Sometimes you just have to reach out to others so that they can point out some of the things that are so obvious to other people that you can't see yourself because you're in it.
Yep. Yep. I love that. When I look at these 9 coaches that we have here, I'm like, we have some of the most powerful humans in the world and really powerful thinkers, but also people who like really make sure that they help us refocus our perspective on a way that is like creating more of what we want, not focus on what's broken, wrong, or missing, right? Like when Hilary's talking about like branding, I think about that related to every area of your life, what she shared, right? When you're in the box, when you're trapped in the box, you can't see the label, right? And it's very easy to help coach other people, very easy to help lead other people because you don't have all of their behind the scenes. You don't have all of their limiting beliefs. You're just seeing it from yourself. And you have this heart for like, no, I can see the potential in you. And then when it comes to ourselves, we need to be able to get that kind of help for ourselves as well. Being able to see it from your perspective is much harder than being able to go and be able to coach someone else. So be open to getting that coaching and that help from someone else. Let's get into number 4. Oh, this is a good one, guys. This is Jason MacKenzie. So Jason MacKenzie and a couple of the gentlemen who are here, they actually connected with me through the Dad Edge. So back when, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I was struggling with my parenting, my husbanding, if that's a word. Like I wanted to become better at that. And I noticed that I was spending so much time in business and police work. And I was like, well, how do I go to dad school or husband school? And he is one of the gentlemen who really raised the bar for me. Now, specifically, Jason is like the empathy king. The way that he asks questions is like next level. It's kind of like one of those things where if somebody else had asked you, you might be a little offended. But the way that he asks it with curiosity, that's what I've grabbed onto and actually used in a lot of the different things that I do. And you will find that out really soon. Let's jump right into his tips today.
Hey, my name is Jason MacKenzie. I, along with some amazing other guys, run a coaching program for dads who own businesses. And I am also the Chief Coaching Officer of the Ames Institute, and we're a management consulting company that helps small and medium-sized businesses unlock the incredible capacity in their teams and organizations. And what do I wish I had learned back when I started coaching? So I've been coaching for about 8 years, I suppose, 8 or 9 years, probably 9 years. And I think what I wish I had learned sooner was the power of humility and realizing that I have no idea what is best for anybody else. So when I started coaching, I was fairly enthralled, I would say, with the idea that people would actually want to seek my counsel. And I felt a lot of pressure to be the expert. And so what I found myself doing fairly frequently was giving people advice and telling them what I thought they should do, etc. And I've come to realize that I just have no idea what is best for someone else. And the greatest gift that I can give someone is to guide them through my own curiosity and stimulating theirs to uncover their inner knowing. Because we often know what the right thing to do is, or are more than capable of figuring it out just by somebody taking the time and being present to ask us the types of questions that we might not ask ourselves, which then facilitates a journey of self-discovery. So at this point in my coaching career, that level of humility and knowing, fundamentally believing that I don't know what's right for anybody else, has really freed me to just be fully present and deeply, deeply curious about their experience, of the past, of the present, and what they would love their experience to be from the future. And, I found also that at the beginning of this journey, I used to ask a lot of questions, which was good. Obviously, that's what a coach should do. But I asked them more from the point of trying to think of a great question to ask. And sometimes I think my ego got wrapped up in, wanting them to think it was a great question, where now I am legitimately just genuinely curious. Like I'm a student of the human condition, I could say. And I'm much better at asking questions, but part of that is because I'm genuinely curious about understanding the experience of the other person and helping them understand it themselves.
That's super, super powerful. I think coaches might feel this pressure to try to fix someone or try to fix people's problems. When, he said that tapping into that humility and that curiosity, I feel like would lift so much pressure off of people because you don't have to do that, right? Coaching is not about fixing problems or knowing exactly what somebody needs. Because like you said, we have absolutely no idea what someone actually needs. And we can guide them and we can ask questions and really kind of get into like really getting to know someone and seeing what makes them tick and helping guide them along the way. But I think that's super powerful just to keep that in mind, especially when you're first getting started.
Yep. I think one of the main things that I learned from Jason is this whole idea of like just being curious, entering a conversation, being genuinely curious. When he says that I don't believe like I know the answers to this, like he really does believe that. He's not just saying that to himself. You can actually feel it in the conversation. And the thing is like when you first get started as a coach, you kind of think just like as a leader, like I need to be pointing directions. That's what it looks like, right? But I got to tell you, and I want you to think about this because I'm sure every single one of you has experienced a coaching moment like this, where the coach is just there, is present, and is curious, and is asking you questions. And the level of like depth that comes out of you is powerful. Think about the confidence that gives you when you come up with the answers because you have them inside versus somebody else tells you. It could feel good when that happens, when somebody else tells you, but now you're seeking the outside to find the answers when the answers are really on the inside. They have this process called clean thinking that we teach where it's just like they're disassociated and they're just really genuinely curious. It totally transforms the coaching session, but it transforms what comes out of it as well. All right. So now we're going to get into number 5. By the way, I told you these were going to be powerful, right? By the way, we didn't even listen to these beforehand because we wanted to be like surprised by how amazing they are. And I love them. All right, the next one is from Jeff Bouwman. Jeff is also a member of the Dad Edge. How can I say this? He constantly challenges me to think about how I can achieve or do both. Early on, like he was one of the main guys who was like, hey, Mark, I see that you want to become a better father and a better husband, and you also want to grow like this incredible business. What is the way that you could do both? But not only do that, but in a way that one would actually make you better in the other. And it blew my mind. So he's a tactical genius when it comes to numbers, especially he says he's a recovering CPA, but he's also really great at asking powerful questions. So let's dive into his feedback today.
Hey there, Jeff Bouwman here. I am the CEO and founder of the AIMS Institute, and I've been coaching and consulting leaders, small business owners, and dads and high performers for about a decade now. The one thing, Mark asked me this question, the one thing that I wish I knew earlier, something that would have saved me years of frustration is this. It's that the real value of coaching doesn't come from the tools I provide, the frameworks that I might have at my disposal, or my offer itself. It comes from my ability to help someone clearly see the nature of the problem that they're facing, what's causing that problem, and what it's costing them to not fix it. And if I go back to time, my goal was how quickly can I get into talking about my solution, right? And when I would do that, I'd oftentimes, quite honestly, face resistance. People might nod, they might be polite, but most of the time they just weren't ready. And I think that's where I see most coaches and consultants get stuck, right? They ask questions, but not to really understand and help people see the nature of the problem they're facing and what's causing it or the impact of it. They're asking questions only so they can get to their pitch. They're focusing on getting someone to say yes to them, not helping someone say yes to change. And so here's what I had to learn is that before someone can buy into you, they need to buy into the desire or the need to change themselves. And so I learned that my job isn't to impress people with what I do. It's to guide them through a conversation or conversations that get them to emotionally and logically connect to what's not working and why it matters to them. And I think if I get that right, everything changes. People lean in, they ask for my help, and they're willing to invest, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. And what's really surprising is when I figured this out, a lot of the objections that I saw previously that I attributed to money weren't even there, right? And when we talk about this, right, when the people I did get to sign up, they'd be sometimes half invested. And when someone's only half invested, it's almost always because I didn't help them fully connect to the cost of staying the same. And so the lesson that I wish I would have learned is don't sell your stuff, help people see their stuff and then walk with them from where they are to where they actually want to be using the framework that provides the transformation that either you learned, that you've tweaked, or to give value.
I love that. I think it's a lot to do with like transformational coaching.
Yep.
And what we actually do. I know he was talking about like potential clients, but we do this with our own clients as well, because it's like moving into the, hey, let's make you feel better, or let's reframe this. What's another way you can look at this? And we don't spend a lot of time there because that's not where transformation happens.
Yeah.
It happens when they do some of the deep work of like why they're experiencing what they're experiencing. So that's uncomfortable work sometimes, especially for a new coach, but that's truly where people can see change.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, we talk about this a lot, like in all of our programs, right? It is, as a coach, there's going to be some uncomfortableness in you. But remember, this is not about you. This is about your client. You're going to want to switch. You're going to want to talk about the positives. You're going to want to like pull out, reframe all this stuff, but you have to actually help them get to the root of the problem. Really, you have to, right? I mean, this is what we have, this 10-part truth series that we have coming up on a video and on podcast. You got to subscribe to that because there's 10 truths that people absolutely need to know about coaching to really be able to help people in a transformational way. We're going to be doing that in the future, but he really hit on it. He really hit on it because it's taking the time to get them to see where they are, right? Get them to see like how far they have to go between there and where they want to get. And then also like, what is it that is actually holding them back? And the truth is if most people don't know that, right? And so being able to ask those questions and being able to diagnose and get to the root of that is like, sometimes that's all you need in a coaching session. You don't even need to jump to the other side. Sometimes that seeing that and going, I didn't even realize that, is enough to motivate and move you, right? So I really love that a lot. Thank you for sharing, Jeff. All right, now, before we actually get into the next voice memo, what I want to share is I want to give a shout out to one of my biggest mentors. His name is Josh Coates. He didn't have an opportunity to record an audio here today, but I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't shout him out. He is somebody who has pushed me to grow, has leaned in to help me develop my skill of coaching. He called it out and saw me as a coach and said, you know what, that's not something you do. That is something that is basically who you are. And by doing that, by teaming up with me, he gave me so many opportunities that I would have never had if I hadn't. So he didn't get an opportunity to make a voice memo, but I wanted to make sure that he got shouted out here because he's definitely one of my mentors, the biggest mentor that has made the biggest change in my life. All right, next we're going to go on to number 6, which is Larry Hagner, also known as Lawrence Hagner. So he is the leader and founder of the Dad Edge. Really, really powerful individual. If you do not listen to his podcast, Where Have You Been? It's like the number 1 ranked podcast in the world when it comes to parenting, when it comes to spousing and all those other relationships. Relationships, that's the word that I'm looking for. And he has really helped me transform my life as a parent and as a spouse. And I think you should probably actually thank him for this because I was even worse than I am now back then. But I want to jump right into his takeaway today. Let's just do it.
There's a lot of things that I wish I would have known 3 to 5 years ago that probably would have saved me just a ton of frustration. But if I could have anything just really, really bubble up to the top, it's not to be tied to the results of my client more than they are tied to the results. So like, for instance, in the past, when I first started coaching, I wanted a certain type of success for my clients so badly. And what I didn't realize early on in my coaching career was that, I wanted like these big, grandiose, unbelievable, groundbreaking results for my clients. And I would make these goals and these dreams so big that quite frankly, they were quite unattainable. And what I found is I was probably putting the target of my clients' success so far out of their reach, and I couldn't understand why a lot of my clients early on would just lose motivation, or they would just kind of like over time, they would just run out of steam. It was almost like they couldn't go anymore. The distance was too far away. What I wish I would have learned earlier on is what it looks like to, number 1, understand the long game, but also putting in milestones that my clients could then go out and achieve, like the short little wins along the way, like not even the weekly wins, but the daily wins, like just the small wins throughout the day that got them closer and closer to a goal that would ultimately bring them, I know, such joy and such gratitude and all these other things that I know that they truly wanted, the fulfillment, the whole 9 yards. So I would have put in smaller, shorter milestones along the way, things that they could go out and win, ways that they could go out and literally build confidence along the way versus chasing some big, huge, audacious goal that might take them a year to even get remotely close to, versus celebrating small wins along the way. So giving my clients those baby steps, giving them those milestones, and giving them those daily wins that we could then go out and identify. I think that would have made my journey as a coach a heck of a lot more enjoyable, as well as my clients as well.
Oof. Yeah, I think that like tying how you feel as a coach to your clients' results is like a recipe for disaster, right? And I think like, we truly want people to succeed. And like, Hilary said earlier, like we can see that potential sometimes in other people and not in us. And we so want like the best for people. But I think that, he's so right that if you have these big goals, you have to set those small wins. And we have implemented this habit in our programs, in our one-on-ones, because it's so important to be able to recognize that you're taking those steps, and each of those steps is a success, because that's going to build up to like the biggest transformation. So keeping an eye on that is super important.
Yeah, I mean, what Larry just hit on is really one of the truths that we're actually going to be sharing in this upcoming series, but it talks a lot about like our heart. Right? Here's the thing. As a coach, a lot of you guys are what's called heart-driven coaches, which means you want results for your client more than anything. You didn't just get them to sign up and to pay you money and like, you're going to peace out. You're like, I want to do whatever I can physically, mentally, and emotionally to get my clients results. And when you're tied to that and it's related to your worth, whether you're a good coach or not, depending on your clients, that can be a painful situation, right? And being able to separate that is one of the things that you need to learn how to do. And we'll teach you that. Don't worry about it. But being aware of it is very, very important, right? And making sure that you do meet your clients. I like to say I meet them 60% of the way, but really it's 50. You can't meet them 100%, right? But you have to meet them somewhere in the middle. And really finding ways of being able to do that where they do meet them in the middle. That's really the power of being able to be a coach, ask the right questions and get them to buy into it. But remember, you can't control all of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into number 7, which is Lexi Smith. You want to intro her?
Yeah. So Lexi is a coach who kind of helped me realize that we were doing really cool things and more people needed to know about it. So I actually got connected with Lexi through Hilary, and she is a PR expert. So let's hear what she has to say.
My name is Lexi Smith. I am a PR and business coach, co-founder of the Ready Set Coach community, a community and growth platform for coaches, and CEO of Growth Mode Personal Brand Agency. One thing I wish I had known was you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot force them to drink. The outcomes your clients achieve aren't always a direct reflection of your effort, your strategy, or your support. You can build the roadmap, you can open every door, and you can cheer them on the loudest. But at the end of the day, they have to choose to walk through it or walk the walk. Understanding that difference has been an absolute game changer for how I define success, and I set boundaries and overall just protect my energy. I also want to note that this can show up in the sales process, right? You can bring the right insights, you can offer right value, you can paint a clear picture of the opportunity. But if a prospective client isn't ready to commit or take action, or even has their own set of money mindset hurdles to work through, that's not on you. And it's just not a fit, at least not right now.
This is worth repeating, right? I think that, kind of the same concept of what Larry said, but just kind of in a different angle. But I think the overall theme is ownership, right? So, I mean, everybody has to take ownership of the way that they show up and the way and the energy that they put into something. And I think that this is really important. And even when she said about having that laid out in the sales process, that way you approach it with this sense of ownership and knowing that you can give your expertise and you can help people as much as you want. But if they don't meet you halfway, then, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I really like this idea of ownership. And it kind of gets me to think about it on reverse though, too, sometimes. Because what I mean is like, we can own like the things that we can control. But when we start taking ownership of the things that we can't control, that's where we can get ourselves in some trouble, right? And yes, Larry talked about it, but even if you think about it, when we were talking to Jeff, right? And Jeff talking about like finding out where they are and asking them questions. By doing that, we actually help them to make it that first step towards taking ownership of where they are, right? And being able to identify it. Because once you get off a call with somebody like that and you've taken ownership of that, it's more likely than not that you're going to take a step forward and take action, right? But we can't take ownership of things like that we can't necessarily control. We can only take ownership of the things that we absolutely can't control, which is how we show up. Really, it's how the way we think, the way we talk, and the way that we act. Those three things we got to take ownership of all the time. And of course, there's like ways to grow, but at the same time, there's also like you're dealing with another human on the other side, right? So very important to keep that in mind. All right. Next up, number 8 is Mark Hummel. So Mark is somebody that I recently came into connection with. He has another powerful podcast, but he does this really great job of like being able to simplify complex things into very bite-sized pieces, but then how he communicates it is next level. He'll take something that seems super complicated and then he'll explain it to you like, oh, that makes total sense. And so like I really connect with him because of the way that he explains things. And so let's just jump into his message today.
Hello, everybody. Mark Hummel here, fellow coach, CEO, and mastermind community builder. And I'm here today to answer the question, what's one thing you wish you knew when you started coaching that would have saved you years of frustration or fast-tracked your results? And I have got the perfect answer. I wish somebody would have told me early on that your success as a coach is not dependent on whether or not the client likes you. Now, what that would have done for me is it would have released me from trying to be liked. I don't mean approval. I don't need everybody to like me, love me, approve me, that kind of thing. But what I started to notice over time is that if I felt like the client wasn't liking me or liking what we were talking about, I felt a little threatened as a coach, like perhaps they wouldn't want to continue coaching. And so I would change the language. I may not push as hard on accountability, and I would eventually allow them to begin leading the conversation rather than me maintaining control of where the conversation was headed by being a great coach. And so if somebody would have sat me down and said, Mark, thousands of hours of coaching from now, you're going to realize this lesson. And until then, it's going to be somewhat painful for you. I would have laughed and said, no, thanks. Could you just tell me now? And that would have sped up not only my progress as a coach, but progress for the clients I served as well. And that's critical because at the heart of all of this, the test of whether or not we are great coaches is taking a look at your clients and understanding whether their lives are or are not moving forward because of the work that you're doing with them. So I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this to look through that lens. What would your coaching look like if you were not concerned with being liked by your client, but instead you were more concerned with impact, with helping your client have higher levels of awareness, move a specific direction, and actually achieve a different trajectory in their life? That's what I wish I would have known years ago and many thousands of hours ago.
One thing that really speaks to me in this one is clients have a way of trying to sabotage and not talk about the things they actually need to talk about. And as a coach, we need to be able to hold space for that, understand what's kind of going on. And then I don't want to say force because we never force people, but offer them the opportunity to go down there because that's the path that they really need to hit on, right? And when I think about that, it happens a lot. It's like, I do feel uncomfortable because we're talking about something, but I'm like, also, this is the thing that's going to be the biggest game changer for you, right? I know I say this in our certification all the time is like, when the tears start to flow, I lean in and that's exactly where I go. Because it's like, that is showing me that it's so important to them. And I always make sure that I say, because it's that important to them, it's also equally important to me. And that's why I'm willing to go down that path with them. It's just a game changer as opposed to saying, oh, this is uncomfortable. Let's talk about this other thing, right? I mean, we started off like had so many different niches that we actually helped, right? And whenever we were talking about business, we would find it is actually like their personal life that was like falling apart, that was actually not allowing them to really grow their business. And when talks would go that way, I'd be like, oh, no, got to go back into business. and it wouldn't help my client like actually make the impact like what Mark was saying. And instead, when I saw that and I called out to it and we like actually were able to jump in there and figure it out, business thrived. They were able to have success. It's one of those things that it's hidden, but their subconscious mind would kind of get it to be thrown off track.
Yeah, this one hit me really hard because I am the type of person that wants to be liked and I'm a people pleaser. So when I sense something is off, like it really throws me off. And I think that this is the greatest opportunity to go into kind of these coaching sessions or even into like a contract, coaching yourself, right? So that you know that it's not about you, it's about them. You don't have to be liked. Obviously, it's nice if your client likes you or but not making it like be such a big deal and just understanding that you're there to help them make a difference in their lives and putting the work and effort and the thought process for them and not like how you're going to be perceived, whether you're going to be liked, whether you're a good coach or not, I think is still like work that I still need to do. But I think that knowing this as a new coach will save you a lot of heartache.
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with clean thinking, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into Tina Delgado. So if you don't know who Teacher Tina is, you're about to. She has really helped me level up the way that I coach, but also the way that I teach, right? Because there's a difference between coaching and teaching. And I like to synergize both of them. But she's somebody who helps remind me not only of like gratitude and the things that she like really focuses on, but how can I communicate this in a way that will allow the other person to really get it? So let's jump into her audio today.
Hi, my name is Tina Delgado. I'm a holistic success coach, and I help professional women over 40 build unshakable confidence, create lasting habits, and design a life they're proud of by releasing old patterns, rewiring new ones, and rising into their authenticity. If I could go back to the beginning of my coaching journey and tell myself one thing, it would be this: you don't have to market like everyone else to be successful. I spent so much time spinning my wheels, trying to force myself into someone else's script, that proven framework and DM strategy that just didn't feel right. It felt so icky to me. I kept copying and pasting, knowing I sounded like a robot or some horribly bad actress trying to be convincing when deep down I knew I wasn't. And that disconnect even made me doubt myself. I thought maybe I'm just not cut out for this, when in reality, I was just cut out to do it differently. The moment I started giving myself permission to show up as me in all my boldness, my honesty, no sugarcoating, but with a huge heart, everything changed. I stopped trying to attract everyone, and I started magnetizing my people. It was no longer a numbers game. It was a quality game. I wanted quality conversations with the right people. I now believe my most powerful marketing strategy is my authenticity. So if you're new to coaching or you're feeling stuck, take this to heart. Who you are is enough. Your truth is magnetic. The right people will feel it. And that connection will last way longer than any bro marketing script ever could.
Microphone drop. What comes up for you?
Yeah, I love that so much. And she's right. The best marketing strategy is your authenticity, because you're not hiding. You're not trying to be somebody else. And I mean, we've seen her journey and it's really incredible. And she has so much heart and she's the sweetest person. And I love the fact that she has like this business and this strategy now that she really truly loves, because you can see that it makes her truly shine.
Yep. And when you like wrap all of these together, I feel like that is a great way to wrap them all up, right? Because it's like when we are coaching and we're helping people come to their conclusions, their decisions, seeing what like they're using them, their authenticity, their strengths, right? And figuring out a way of leaning into that to make it work for them. That's really where the power is. And sometimes we can accidentally come upon something that works for us and then shout it from their mountaintops, but we shout it in a way that's like, everybody should do this. I mean, I had this mentor once. He said, there's never one right, best, only way to do anything. So as a coach, jumping in and, getting curious, like Jason said, being able to find the root of people's problems, asking them these powerful questions, staying out of the pool, right? Being able to have that clean thinking and doing all of these things is what makes us powerful coaches. But here's the thing. You just heard from 9 powerful coaches with multiple decades of experience. I don't want you to think that you need to implement all of these things, but I do want to challenge you to pick one. Because here's the thing, we don't get better by consuming, we get better by acting. So take one of these things with you into your next coaching session, focus on it, get better at it, and when you've gotten to that next level, come back here, listen to this podcast again, and pick up your next one. We had these really great, powerful coaches here who gave you some behind the scenes in terms of the things that have grown their business the most. We went really deep today. But what I seem to find from a lot of other people is they go very surface level. They go very like, here's a tactic, here's what you can do, here's how you can post. And they don't actually get to the root of what's actually holding people back. And that's why we're putting together a brand new series that is going to be starting next week, both on the audio podcast and the video podcast here on YouTube, to really take you through the 10 truths that we wish we had known when we started coaching. These are things that are not surface level, but they are deeper than that you might not even realize, but you're up against right now, and you're struggling with trying to find a way out. That's what we're going to be tackling. So if you're somebody who wants to make sure that you're in that room, definitely subscribe, but get ready, because this is going to be a game changer for you. I, of course, want to thank everybody who came here to give you this advice. I will leave you their information inside of the show notes. They all have powerful podcasts, coaching practices. You heard a lot of what they do here. Definitely reach out and connect, because when we connect with the right people, it just elevates everybody in the community. And that's what we wanted to do here. So thank you guys for listening to another powerful episode. Thank you, 9, for sharing these powerful lessons. Go out there and crush it and keep leading from the front. Bye, everybody.